Hi Mark, my name is Tinson. My student number is 56. I'm a freshman in NCUE. Johann, everything you think you know about addiction is wrong. One of my earliest memories is of trying to wake up one of my related and not being able to. And I was just a little kid, so I didn't really understand why. But as I got older, I realized we have drug addiction in my family, including later cocaine addiction. I have been thinking about it a lot lately, partly because it's now exactly 100 years since drug was first banned in the United States and Britain, and we then imposed that on the legs of the world. It's a century since we made this really factual decision to make addict and punish them and make them suffer, because we believe that would deter them. It will give them an incentive to stop. And a few years ago, I was looking at some of the addicts in my life who I love and trying to figure out if there are some way to help them. And I realized there were a lot of incredibly basic questions. I just didn't know the answer to, like what really causes addiction. Why do we carry on this approach that doesn't seem to be working? And is there a better way out there? Is there a better way that we can try instead? So I read a lot of stuff about it, and I can really find the answers I was looking for. So I thought, okay, I will go and sit with different people around the world who live this and start this and talk to them and see if you can learn from them. And I didn't realize I would end up going over 30,000 miles at the start. But I ended up going and meeting lots of different people, from a transgender crack dealer in Boswell, Boxland, to a scientist who spent a lot of time feeding heuristicals and mongooses to see if they like them. It turned out they do, but only in very specific circumstances. To the only country that ever discriminalize all drug and cannabis to crack, Portugal. And the thing I realized that really blew my mind is almost everything we think we know about addiction is wrong. And if we start to absorb the new evidence about addiction, I think we are going to have to change a lot more than our drug politics. But let's start with what we think we know. What I thought I know. Let's think about this middle row here. Imagine all of you for 20 days now went off and used heroin 3 times a day. Some of you look a little more enthusiastic than others at this prospect. Laughter. Don't worry. It's just a thought experience. Imagine you did that, right? What would happen? Now we have a story about what would happen that we have been told for a century. We think because there are chemical hooks in heroin. As you took it for a while, your body will become dependent on those hooks. You start to physically need them, and at the end of those 20 days, you will all be heroin addicts, right? That's what I thought. First thing that alerts me to the fact something not right with this story is when it was explained to me. If I step out of this TED Talk today and I get hit by a car and I break my hip, I will be taken to hospital and I will be given lots of diamorphine. Diamorphine is heroin. It's actually much better heroin that we are going to buy on the street, because the stuff you buy from a drug dealer is contaminated. Actually, very little of it is heroin, whereas the stuff you get from the doctor is medically pure. true, and you will be given it for quite a long period of time. There are lots of people in this room. You may not realize it. You've taken quite a lot of heroin, and anyone who is watching this anywhere in the world. This is happening, and if what we believe about addiction is right, those people are exposed to all these chemical hooks. What should happen? They will become addicts. This has been studied really carefully. It doesn't happen. You will have noticed if your grandma have a hip replacement. She didn't come out as a junket. Laughter. And when I learned this, I think so weird to me, so contrary to everything I've been taught, everything I thought I knew. I just thought it couldn't be right until I met a man called Bruce Alexander. He is a professor of psychology in Vancouver who carried out an incredible experiment I think really helped us to understand this issue. Professor Alexander explained to me the idea of the addiction we all got in our head. That story comes partly from a series of experiments that we done early in the 20th century. That's really simple. We can do that tonight at home if you feel a little sadistic. You get a rat and you put it in a cage, and you give it 2 water bottles. One is just water, and the other is water laced with either heroin or cocaine. If you do that, the cat will almost always prefer the drug water, and almost always kill itself quite quickly. So there you go, right? That's how we think it works. In the 70s, Professor Alexander comes along and he looks at this experiment and he noticed something. We said, oh, we are putting the rat in an empty cage. It's got nothing to do except using this drug. Let's try something different. So Professor Alexander built a cage that he called Rat Park, which is basically heaven for rats. There's got a lot of cheese, they got a lot of carbohydrates, they got a lot of turnip. Crucially, they all got a lot of friends. They can carry a lot of sex, and they have got both water bottle, the normal water, the drug water. But there's a fascinating thing in Rat Park. They don't like the drug water. They almost never use it. None of them ever use it compulsively. None of them ever overdose. You got from almost 100% overdose when they are isolated to 0% and overdose when they have happy and connected lives. Now, when he first saw this, Professor Alexander thought maybe this is just a thing about rats. They are quite different to us, maybe not as different as we would like, but fortunately, there was a human experience into the exact same principle happening at the exact same time. It was called a writing war. In the Enlightenment, 20% of the American troops was using a lot of heroin. And if you look at the news report from the time, they were really worried because they thought, my God, we are going to have hundreds of thousands junkies on the street and of the United States when the war ends. If you make total sense, now those soldiers who were using a lot of heroin were followed home. The archive of the journal Psychiatry did a really detailed study, and what happened to them? It turned out they didn't go to rehab. They didn't go into withdrawal. 97% 95% of them just stop. Now, if you believe the story about chemical hooks, that make absolutely no sense. But Professor Alexander began to think there might be a different story about addiction. He said, what if addiction isn't about your chemical hooks? What if addiction is about your catch? What if addiction is an adaptation to your environment? Look at this. This was another professor called Peter Johann in the New Zealand who said, maybe we shouldn't even call it addiction. Maybe we should call it bonding. Human being has a natural and innate need to bond, and when we are happy and healthy, we will bond and connect with each other. But if you can do that because you're traumatized and isolated or beaten down by life, you will bond with something that will give you some sense of relief. Now, that might be gambling, this might be pornography, this might be cocaine, this might be cannabis, but you were born and connect with something because they were our nature. That's what we want as human beings. And at first, I find this quite a difficult thing to get my head around. But one way that helped me to think about it is, I can see I've got over by my set a bottle of water, right? I'm looking at lots of you, and a lot of you have bottle of water with you. Forget the drugs, forget the drug world, totally legally. All of those bottle of water could be bottle of vodka, right? We call all the getting drunk. I might after this laughter, but we have now because we have been able to afford that approximately gallon pounds. That is cost to get into a tractor. I'm guessing your guys can afford to be drinking vodka for the next 6 months. You will be ending up homeless. You are not going to do that, and the reason you are not going to do that is not because anyone stopped you. It's because you are got bugged and the connection that you want to be present for. You have got work you love. You have got people you love. You've got healthy relationship, and a core part of addiction, I came to think, and I believe the evidence suggests, is about not being able to bear to be present in your life. Now, this is really significant implication. The more obvious implications are for the war on drugs. In Arizona, I think I went out with a group of women who were made to wear t-shirts saying, I was a drug addict, and go out on a chain gang and dig grave while member of the public jailed as land. And when those women get out of prison, they are going to have a criminal record. That means they will never work in the legal economy again. Now that's a very extreme example. Obviously, in the case of the chain gang, but actually almost everywhere in the world we treat addicts to some degree like that. We punish them, we shame them, we give them the criminal records. We put barriers between them reconnecting. There was a doctor in Canada, Dr. Ghetto Matter, an Amazon man, who said to me, if you want to design system that will make addiction worse, you will design that system. Now let's apply that design to the exact opposite. And I went here to see how it works in the year 20,000 Portugal had one of the worst drug problems in Europe. 1% of the population was addicted to heroin, which is kind of mind-blowing, and every year they try the American way more and more. They punish people and stigmatize them and shame them more, and every year the problem got worse, and one day the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition got together and basically said, look, we can go with a country where we having ever more people become heroin addicts. Let's set up a panel of scientists and doctors to figure out what will generally solve the problem. And let's set up a panel led by an amazing man called Dr. Joe Guru to look at all this new evidence, and they can come back. They came back and they said decriminalize all drugs from a cannabis to crack, and this is the crucial next step. Take all the money we used to spend on cutting addicts off, on this disconnecting that, and spend it instead of reconnecting them with society. And that's not really what we think of as drug treatment in the United States and Britain. So they do residential rehab. They do psychological therapy. That does have some value, but the big thing they did was the complete opposite of what we do. A mass program of job creation for addicts, and a micro loan for addicts to set up small business. So said you used to be a mechanic, you were ready. They will go to a garage, and they will say, if you are employed this guard for a year, you will pay half his wage. The goal was to make sure that every addict in Portugal have something to get out of bed for in the morning. And when I went and met the addict in Portugal, what they said is, as a rediscovered purpose, the rediscovered bond and the relationship with the wider society. It will be 50 years this year since the experiment began, and the results are in. Injecting drug use is down in Portugal, according to the British Journal of Criminology, by 50%, 50%. Overdose is massively down. HIV is massively down among addicts. Addiction is in every style is significantly down. One of the ways you know it worked so well is that almost nobody in Portugal wants to go back to the old system. Now this is political implication. I actually think there's a layer of implication to all this research below that. We live in a culture where people feel really increasingly vulnerable to all sorts of addiction, where it's to their smartphone or to shopping or to eating. Before this talk began, you guys know this. We are told we were not allowed to have our smartphone on, and I have to say, a lot of you look an awful like addicts who are told their dealer was going to be unvaluable for next couple of hours. Laughter. A lot of us feel like that, and it might sound weird to say. I've been talking about how disconnection is a major driver of addiction, and the word to say it is wrong, because you think we are the most connected society that's ever been, surely. But I increasingly began to think that the connection we have or thing we have are like a kind of parody of human connection. If you have a crisis in your life, you will not notice something. It will be your Twitter follower who come to sit with you. It won't be your Facebook friend who help you turn it around. it will be your fresh and broke friend who you have deep and non-acid and textured fat relationship with. And there is a study I learned about from Bill McKibben, the environmental writer. That I think tell us a lot about this is look at the number of the close friends the average American believe they can call on in a crisis. That number has been declining steadily since the 1950s. The amount of the phosphate as individual has in their home has been steadily increasing, and I think that's like a metaphor for the choice we have made as a culture. We have tried for space for friends, we trade stop for connection, and the result is we are one of the loneliest societies there have ever been. And Bruce Alexander, the guy who did the Red Park experience, said, "We talk all the time in addiction about individual recovery, and that's right to talk about that. But we need to talk much more about social recovery, something we are going wrong with us, not just with individuals, but as a group. And we have created a society where, for a lot of us, life look a whole lot more like less isolated cage, and a whole lot less like Red Park. If I'm honest, that is why I went into it. I didn't go into a discover the political stuff, the social stuff, and I went to know how to help the people I love. And I came back from this long journey. I will learn all this. I look at the addict in my life, and if you really candid, it's hard love an addict. And there's going to be lots of people who know in this room. You are angry a lot of time, and I think one of the reasons why this debate is so charged is because it runs through the heart of each of us, right? Everyone has a bit of land. Let's look at an addict and think, I wish someone would just stop you. And the kind of the secret of the script we talk for how to deal with the addict in our life is typified by. But I think the related show interaction, if you guys have ever been seeing it, I think everything in our life life is defined by related TV. But let's another tactile. If you have ever seen the show, interaction is a pretty simple premise. Get an addict. All the people in their life gather them together, confront them with what they are doing, and they say, if you don't shut up, you are going to cut you off. So what they do is they take the connection to the addict, and they threaten it. Let's make it contingent on the addict behaving the way they want. And I began to see why the approach doesn't work. I began to think that's almost like the importing of logic of the drug war into our private lives. So I was thinking, how can I be Portuguese? And what I'm trying to do now, and I can tell you I do it consistently, and I can tell you it's easy, is to say to the addict in my life, that I want to deepen the connection with them, to say to them, I love you whether you are using or you are not. I love you whatever state you are in, and if you need me, I will come and sit with you because I love you. I don't want you to be alone or to feel alone. And I sing the call of that message. You are not alone. We love you. Have to be at every level of how we respond to ethics, socially, politically, and individually. For 100 years now, we have been singing war songs about ethics. We sing all along. We should have been singing love songs to them, because the opposite of addiction is not subjective. The opposite of addiction is connection. Thank you. Applause.